But I want to begin by talking about the Government of Ireland Act 1920. Can you tell us a bit about that and the provisions that were contained within that facilitated the establishment of a parliament in the six northeastern counties of Ireland at the time of the 1920s?
Well, I think it's important that you put the emphasis on the Government of Ireland Act, legislation passed in Westminster in December 1920, which came into effect in May 1921 and led to the establishment of the Northern Ireland Parliament in June. Because it's often the misconception that it was the Anglo-Irish Treaty of December 1921 which partitioned Ireland, and it's probably the most common fallacy of particularly among students in this period. The treaty partitioned Ireland. Partition was in place 6 months before the treaty was ever signed. Yes, the treaty certainly solidified partition and the nature of it, but you're quite right that it's legislation which was passed in Parliament, in the Westminster Parliament at the end of 1920, which provided for the partition of Ireland. And that wasn't something new. It's often described as the Partition Act, or indeed the Fourth Home Rule Bill, which recognises that it was part of a longer process going back to Gladstone's first Home Rule Bill in 1885, which sought to break up the Union in some form by granting devolved government to Ireland. Well, the main provisions of the Government of Ireland Act was that at that time it said Ireland would be divided would get Home Rule. So there's an important aspect there that unionists who had since 1912, well, since the 1880s, but particularly since 1912, had been very active in opposing Home Rule, were the first group in Ireland to get Home Rule. The idea was there would be two Home Rule parliaments, one in Northern Ireland for the 6 counties and one in Southern Ireland for the 26 counties. That latter jurisdiction never really came into existence because it was superseded by the Irish Free State provided for under the treaty. So there's a lot of questions there about why Ireland was partitioned, where it was partitioned, and when it was partitioned.